I gotta measure it. Ah! Well, I'm gonna have it screwed in there tight enough. Literally holding the camera, trying to cut the fuel hose at the same time. All right, this won't go wrong. Perfect. Front strap unbolted. Okay, let's do the other side now. How much you bet this is not gonna work? Maybe. So I really doubt it. Yeah. Oh, just barely. Whew. That is a long bolt. Oh, why are you guys listening? Bang, bang. Just like my head, it's ringing hollow. Again, I gotta get a set of earplugs here in a minute. That's gonna be really annoying. Ooh. Ooh, you hear that? Ooh. It's got some chunkies in there. I replaced almost everything else on this truck. Why not the fuel tank? Love it. Other strap out. Right, let's see, this filler net tube comes off. Ooh. Right, sure it will. It's not going to unscrew all the way. It's actually going to back out like it should. Well, that's interesting. Well, wonders never cease. Oh, transmission on this wrench is just about shot. Oh, are you sassing me? Tell you, got no respect at all. Some of you are probably too young to understand that reference. That's okay. Right. Well, this should prove very interesting. I might have to take the whole neck off. Will you knock it off? Apparently the crows want to be the star of the YouTube here. Really? Right. Well, I'm not using this tank again. Of course, it just... For real, nice big gaping hole. And of course, the filler neck looks absolutely wonderful. Puh. So let's just take the fuel sender off and see what that looks like. I'll be darned. Oh yeah. That's a nice float. Lovely. Why not? I've replaced everything else on this truck. Why not a fuel tank? Ay, ay, ay. And of course, we just have to have chunkies galore as well inside of the tank. Wonderful. Expletives. So I made an executive decision without consulting anyone, which is probably going to be a mistake, but that's okay. I've decided we're going to delete the factory tank and we're going to run off the auxiliary tank that came with the truck that's in the service truck box. Honestly, it makes more sense to run this one because unlike the 19-gallon stock tank, this bad boy holds 80 gallons, which means it's going to cost me $400 to fill up, but it'd probably get me close to a 1,000-mile range. And I really don't think I'm that desperate to go that far for content. Originally, this truck was plumbed in to this 80-gallon auxiliary tank and fed to the engine. That's how I bought it from the farmer. So I guess since the plumbing's mostly there, we can go ahead and just keep on doing that. We will put a fuel sender in it. Even though it'll be an aftermarket fuel sender, we will be able to hook it up to our factory in-dash fuel gauge, and I'll show you what the solution to that is when we get there. All right, so we're going to start on the underneath of the tank. We're going to be putting our oil filter and our fuel pump in here and all sorted plumbings. We've got Teflon tape here ready to go. You can't see it because I'm recording this at night because here in the Northwest in the wintertime the sun sets at like 3 p.m. It's ridiculous. Yes, you can use Teflon tape on gas, but you got to use the yellow stuffs. What's so special about this is you can use it in gasoline, right there, petroleum oil, and of course all your gases, your propane, and this stuff is UL listed. So I'll be using this in all of our pipe thread fittings just to let you know, just to document it. This will be our emergency shutoff valve, or supply valve rather. Or if I want to change filters, you know, it's kind of good to shut the source off. I think I'll want that valve on this side so I don't bump up against thing in case I gotta undo that nutter. This thing doesn't get exercised much, just in case. There we go, that's fine. I think that should work. Oh, okay. I didn't think that one through. Alright, let's fix our valve a little bit more, eh? Oh look, now it shuts off.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to turn it now. There, I'll just put my gloves on, manhandle it, I'll He-Man it. Well, that Skeletor did have some good jokes, I'm not going to lie. Okay. Well, I don't think this one's going to leak. Excuse me. Oh. There we go. Right. It's getting cold out here. I'm starting to freeze. Stupid winter. This is just a clean trap plug I put in. This goes to here. Righty tighties, lefties or loosies. Actually, righty Ricardo, lefty loosey, right? Wonder how many leaks I'm gonna have. Place your bets now. We will find out at the end of this episode. More fittings. Oh, I have all the fittings. How many fittings is it going to take to get this job complete? Yes. For those of you who don't speak English and using Auto Translate or whatever, I don't know how many fittings this is going to take. What's my choice of implements here? Am I going the wrong way again? Oh my goodness. As for mounting the fuel pump and the fuel filter, I do have some holes already drilled from the factory into the chassis rail. However, I don't like using those holes because even if I did, the pump sticks out below the chassis rail. Even if I use those holes right up here, it might be tucked in a little bit more, but I have to worry about my parking brake cable. So let's discover what the next option is. The goldenrod pre-filter, if you will, or mesh screen. Well, I'm dropping here. I think what I'm going to do is mount the pump and or filter here and here. Keep everything, all the filter stuff self-contained, and they really shouldn't be hanging below the box at all. Famous last words. Oh, wow, this thing's being a poo-poo head. What's going on here? So it'll be fuel pump. Actually, it's going to be mesh screen, fuel pump, fuel filter, engine compartment. Right, clear as mud. For additional noise dampening, I'm going to take a conveyor belt, 1/4 inch thick, and put it right behind the bracket. Just got to make it, size it up here. Very scientific measurements here, yes. Right. There we go. Yeah, it should be all right. Relax, it didn't go through. That's close. There we go. Perfect. Oh, hey, forgot to put the rubber pad you just made on there. Ah! Tool tight. Okay. All right. Tool tight enough. Oh yeah. Now there should be no noise or very little noise coming out of this thing. Now with the actual water separator filter, something like that, I guess. I gotta measure it. Ah! Well, some of them haven't screwed in there tight enough. Some person's brain could use a few screws, eh? Oh, hush. I hear you laughing. What's nice about these type of filters housings, I bought this off of eBay. They're $20, $30 or so. Marine filters. You can have it go in and out this way, in and out this way, or in and out this way. There's a few different combinations you can do. See, this is will be our inlet ports here or here. And then the output goes into this T, and you can shoot it out this way or this way. So if you buy one of these 4 ways, you know, you got a few combinations. So I switched them all to here. So that way, so everything's coming in and out on one side. Well, it's coming along. I probably should have put this over here, and then the pump to here, and then the filter over to here, so it just drops it and just shoots it continuously straight forward to the front of the vehicle. We'll make another blunder and put it up for the YouTube for the entire world to see. I don't care. It is what it is. I'm actually just starting to get sick of this pickup. I really want it going right now. Nothing wrong with doing it like this. It's just a little bit more disorganized, but at least it's all kept up pretty close to the chassis, and everything's serviceable right here. I'll probably put a plate between the frame rail and the bottom of the job box to help, you know, secure this, as well as keep it from rocks and stuff potentially coming up and wreaking havoc here. Well, I got all the lines pretty much all plumbed in now. It's very, very boring. As soon as I get done installing this check valve, I will show you guys my plumbing madness. Oh yes, we all know we love a bit of good madness on here on this channel. I do. You may or may not. I don't know. Your mileage may vary. Am I talking again? That goes up back into the intake. Right. Okay. All right. Let me show you what the deal is with the plumbings. Fuel source is here. Fuel shut-off valve. Yeah. Goes into the T. This T down here, I wanted to put a T instead of an elbow for a clean-out trap. So for the trap, comes into our goldenrod filter housing. Now these come with a regular filter, but I instead opted to buy their 30 mesh screen. So the fuel comes from the T, now it comes into the mesh filter, pre-filters it, hopefully a little bit. Output of the pre-cleaned fuel comes out through here, up and around here. There's a one-way check valve, nothing can go down, just up. That'll be important here in a minute. So fluid only travels through here into the pump, hoovers it up, sucks it up, and pressurizes it out on this side. And from that side, goes into the filter, cleans it, hopefully. So the clean fuel pops out on this side, comes out through here, and goes up to the engine. Except for this check ball valve. Fuel will come through here, but also will allow fuel to go back into the intake. Very important to have on this pump. This is how it self-regulates the PSI. If there's any excess pressure, it simply dumps it back in the intake to relieve the pressure. If it doesn't want to, if it's satisfactory, that won't even activate. As far as clearance-wise goes, fuel filter pretty much clears. The goldenrod sticks down a little bit. The pump is good. It's tucked away. But honestly, if I'm going to hit this, I'm going to be hitting my running boards first. Which, honestly, that's a 2-foot gap. So I don't think we got to worry about knocking this about so much. Off camera, I'll go ahead and wire this motor up. All I'm going to do is put power to it through a relay underneath the hood. That's incredibly boring. So let's do a jump cut here and put a brand new hole in a gas tank. Instead of measuring twice and cutting once, I'm going to measure it 0 times, and we're just going to simply go full send. All right, we are through. And now for the big reveal. Let's see how nasty it is. Let me go get a light. All right, there's our drill bit. We'll go get our other chunk of metal out of here, I guess, too. There we are. All right, let's see what the tank looks like. I am actually really pleased how that looks. There is very little rust at all in there. A lot better than the factory tank, that's for certain. Sweet. What? There's a freaking hose clamping. Oh, well, that's interesting. I don't know what that is. We're going to have to see if we can fish that out. Unless that's stainless steel. Okay, well, regardless, very clean tank. And a bearing. Wow. Okay. And the words are short of George. Shall we give it a go? Channel link is in the description below. Oh. Oh. No, one of the bearings out. We got the bearing out. What other fun treasures shall we find? Oh, stop it. Aha. For real. No, you're coming out. This is fun. It's like an expedition. You never know what you're going to find. One used hose clamp out. There's one more thingamabobber I gotta try and find here. Well, I can see it. I just want to retrieve it. Ooh. That appeared to be stainless. Which makes sense because it's not rusty whatsoever. And I'm not going to be able to retrieve that. Okay, well. I like it. I like that a lot. Okay, there we go. Got to mark it, and then I got to drill those out right quick. And this is facing this way. Okay, I think these holes are slightly off center. They're not perfect. So I have the float adjusted. We're gonna go ahead and put it in the tank now because it's raining and I don't want any water to get in there. But fortunately I positioned the float. It's gonna be right about here. So once inside the tank, I can lift it up and down to measure the fuel gauge. Dialing the fuel gauge accurately. Now I'm doing this a bit backwards. I should have hooked the fuel gauge up first, but being how it's literally raining, I'm doing this in between rain showers. I wanted to get this buttoned up, so I don't have to worry about moisture in the tank, well, more than usual. Fortunately, I can reach in actually with the float. I angled the float right over here, so I can just grab it through the filler tube with a piece of welding rod, so I can just, we can adjust it, pull the float up and down. We can do it externally from the outside. Making no sense? That's about right. Ooh. All right, so now we're going to tap into the factory fuel gauge wires. It looks like we luck out. This is a two-prong deal, and that's a good thing for us. Why is that a good thing? Well, one goes to the sender, of course, but the other one's a ground strap, which means I do not have to run a ground, provided the ground's still good. Not using the factory tank anymore, so we're just going to go ahead and lop off the factory connector. I don't know where my good wire strippers are, but that's all right. Yep. Get some 30 years worth of dust. These are junk. They were good when they were new, but I've worn these things out, I think. All right. To test which ones are ground, we're going to select our ohms tester here. Make sure it goes beep. It does. Probably going to go with the black wire first. Just touch that to chassis. And indeed, that is our ground, which means the yellow one is our signal wire. You know, if you pardon me for just 1 minute, I have to wire this up, solder it, and heat shrink tube it shut. So it's give me 2 seconds to do that. Yeah, best give me 4 seconds. Yes, believe it or not, I'm actually color coding these. Black is for ground. Signal is red and yellow. One of the rare times I'm actually color coding something. Ha! With my luck, we better do it, at least this time. That heat shrink goes there. That heat shrink tubing goes there. Oh, I like it when it fits just so. Where's my heat gun? Excellent. It's an alright splice, I guess. Well, for me. I'm just going to string this the rest of the chassis rail, pop it up top, and I'll meet you guys topside. Come on. Excellent. Now, sometimes the heat shrink won't quite go over these terminals. So what I just use a little bit of silicone and just spritz it. Seems to aid in it sliding out over a little easier. Just like that. Perfect. We'll do it again on this side. Again, just enough. That should wax down enough. There we go. Oh, really? Get on the post! All right. So the solution to use your factory gauge with an aftermarket fuel sender unit, I bought Tanks Incorporated meter match system. No, I'm not getting paid or sponsored. I had to pay full price for it, but I really love it. So how the system works basically is you got a little brain box you put in here.
You basically splice it in between your gauge and your sensor wire. That normally would be one wire. So you put it in between, you give a dedicated positive 12 volts, you give it a dedicated ground. And now what you're going to do is you're going to tell the brain box what sensor you have on there if your ohms resistance is known. And if not, there's a procedure. If you don't know what it is, you can also dial it in, so it doesn't matter too much. And then once you get done programming what you have on there, then you move over to the gauge, and you'll actually move the gauge physically up and down with the buttons on here, and you basically tell it which is empty, which is full, depending upon this relation. It's actually a pretty slick setup, pretty easy, and as you can see here, you can also use it not just for a fuel sender unit. You can do oil pressure, temperature gauges. You can also have an LED. It does allow for like a low fuel alarm or whatever in there. And if you're clever enough, they do say that you can actually put that into a relay, and you can actuate a relay if, you know, alarms get low or something. It can, I don't know, switch tanks or valves or whatever. So it's a pretty nice little system. So basically, this just takes the original signal, interrupts it, and reinterprets mixed matched sensors and gauges to get a accurate reading with your gauge, whether it be OEM like mine or an aftermarket. So this is my splice. This goes to my instrument cluster. For my particular Ford, it's the yellow with the white stripe. That got spliced and cut. And here's the other side as well. So normally the original wire went straight into here. Cut it and spliced it in with our fuel gauge controller. To calibrate this thing now, I'm going to tell it the high and low points on that fuel sender that's in the back. 240 ohm empty, 33 ohms full is what I bought that sender off the internet for. So now we're going to tell this brain box that information. What's cool about these guys too, is they send you a free standard and Phillips screws when you're undoing the black box. There's a casing that you'll see cut that comes with it, and you can also use a flat end screwdriver to open and close your terminals here. Really nice. So we're going to set the rotary switch from 0 to position 1 like this. Okay. Now that mode is the high calibration point. Now I'm going to physically pull up on the sender to make it read high. So I'm taking my welding rod here, just pulling the float up. You can see it right in there. That's all pulled up. I'll just set it right here for right now. So now what I'm going to do is just simply use the up down arrow keys to make my gauge reads full. as soon as the gauge decides to warm up, there you go. Press and hold it. There you go. Just press and hold it. Works a lot better. Whoa, okay, slow down, slow down, slow down. Bring it on down. Do a few more clicks here. Nope, overshot it. Backing on up. I want it right on that F mark. I don't know why, but... this is going to take a hot minute to... We'll be right back when I actually have it dialed in. Alright, that is on the full mark. So now we're going to save that value. So we're going to hold it down until that thing starts blinking, and then when that LED comes back on full bright again, we know it's been saved. So press. And the LED came back on. Value has been saved. So now what we do is we enter number 4 on our rotary dial. 2, 3, 4, and that's going to be our low point calibration. That's the float all the way down at the bottom of the tank. The float hanger has been removed. Now we're going to dial the low setting, so this will be E for empty. Now that we're in mode 4, we're going to go ahead and push down until we get the empty reading. Or have the gauge read empty. That's pretty much empty. We'll give it a couple of clicks.
that absolutely works for me. Again, we'll just go ahead and press save. Wait for that LED to come back on, so now it's saving. It came back on, so it saved it. Excellent. Now I'll put the rotary dial back to 0, which is normal operation. LED goes out, and we are good to go. We have a factory fuel gauge hooked up with an aftermarket sender now. Fantastic. One nice enclosed case. I'll stick this, maybe somewhere up in here. I'll do that off camera. That's going to be dreadfully boring. So let's go ahead, now that we have our gauge hooked up, plumbing's hooked up, let's go ahead and dump some gas in it and see how many leaks I've made or going to make. Next up is we need to put a vent in the fill cap. The tank is not vented, unfortunately. So we gotta puncture a hole in here and put a vent in. I'll get some cutting oil. Don't tell anyone I can't find my regular cutting oil, so this is just motor oil. Oh no! Again, rinse and repeat. And voila. Now where's my tap at? There it is. Oh, spiky. Yeah, but don't you have a shop air instead of blowing it on there? Instead of blowing your threads out? Yeah, I'm too too lazy to fire it up. All right, let's see what a hot mess express we've got. As long as we can get 3 or 4 threads on there, we'll be fine. Oh yes. Excellent. Right, one fuel cap now with vent. It is quick because it's raining. Lovely northwest weather. All right, we're gonna flip our valve and see what happens. Glug, glug, glug. System's probably gonna take 3 gallons just to charge. Alright, the valve is all open. Gas looks pretty good. Don't see any major chunkies in there. Looks like we might have to use the pump the rest of the way to get it to charge up. A little bit of a leak here. Well, the pump is all charged up now. I honestly thought that that tank was nasty looking, which is why I put this big goldenrod filter in here. And I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna simply probably just delete this whole thing and just have a primary filter here. I didn't realize how clean it was. For some reason I had in my head that that tank was absolutely nasty, which is why I put this in here. But apparently I need to look at my projects a little bit more carefully. But for now it'll run just fine like that. At least for scooting around until I get everything else buttoned up on this. All right, let's go ahead and start up and see if it starts up under its own fuel cell now. Key on. Oh yeah. Yes.
fantastic. Let's all big block warm right up. Huh. Well, that's not good. No, I'm sure I don't have everything plugged in yet. It is running under its own fuel tank now. Excellent. There's proof that there's proof the oil pump does work. Good deal. Nothing's overflowing on the vents. I don't know what kind of PSI is. I'm gonna have to measure that at some point, just to be certain. It's pretty good. There we go. I did not have the gauges, the harness plugged in all the way. All right, we got oil, temp, and fuel gauge. Well, sort of fuel gauge. Oh, poor thing. The amp meter's not charging, but I did some messing about with that harness. I'll have to figure that out later. But sweet, good deal. You just barely breathe on this gas pedal. It just whoomp. I just barely breathe on that pedal. She wants to go. All right. Getting it set up for the brake job, which will be in the next installment of this truck, I think. That does sound beautiful. Ha! No dieseling or no dieseling or anything like that. Sweet. Well, I think this will conclude this episode. Runs under its own fuel tank now. That's awesome. The next biggest thing is brakes and radiator. Little spoiler alert, the brakes. It's probably going to be a two-part system. I had a little goosey gander at the front brakes and the rear brakes, and oh, I got all sorts of... This poor pickup. It was ran hard, put away wet, left to rot in the field for 10 years. I wish I had the picture of it before the guy sold it to me on Craigslist, but that photo's long gone by now. I forgot to save it. Anyways, truck runs great. I still got plenty of content to do for it. But in the meantime, while I set up my brakes, check out my boy, Sorted George. He recently got that his Chrysler New Yorker all polished up and got a good spit shine on it. And I'm really impressed with it too. He got the paint to shine up so much that he thought that there were some blemishes in the paintwork when it really... It was just his garage door casting a shadow on it, I think. So in the meantime, while I'm setting up the brakes, go check them out. And we'll see you guys later. Okay, you know what? You guys are going to have to scoot over. Just scoot over. 13 mils, top end. All right, go. La, 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 la.
So let's discover what the next best or best.
Except I'm unscrewing it. Oh, you absolute buffoon. Come on, you little piggy. Well, this rear one's gonna try me patience. Well, are we getting dizzy yet, people? Go to the bathroom. Fine, it's gonna take another minute.
We're gonna start and assemble our fuel pump and everything in here. Oil pump.
Front saddle tank. Front saddle strap unbolted. Front strap unbolted. I'll try it again. No. Quit looking at my exhaust pipe. Come over here yonder. There you go.